I was a little nervous about today's topic about weight loss. It can bring up some frustration, discouragement, the biggest weight loss myths that are keeping women stuck. Have you ever lost some weight only to gain it back? You're not alone. Sometimes we start chasing quick fixes like different diets. Myth numero uno, that there is a magic diet. Exercise helps with all the things you can't see. It's progress over perfection. Hello, welcome back. Bienvenidos. This is episode 4 of the VC Fitness podcast. My name is Vanessa Carlson. And I was a little nervous about today's topic, talking about weight loss, because I know that it can be very emotional or an emotional topic. It can bring up some feelings of maybe frustration, discouragement. However, even more of a reason to kind of lean in and press into today's topic, where I wanted to discuss the biggest weight loss myths and or lies that are keeping people, in particular women, stuck. And so I wanted to share some things that I have experienced working with primarily women. We had our 2 gyms for about 7 years, and just things that I have learned also the last 20 years working in the fitness industry, whether as a clinician, as a physical therapist in various settings, or as a gym owner, trainer, performance coach, instructor. And one of the things that I've realized is that the fitness industry can sometimes be full of all these promises that sound good, but rarely lead to lasting success. And this episode, I want to kind of bust through some of the myths and hopefully also break away some of maybe areas of discouragement and bring hope and inspiration and encouragement. And so with that said, have you ever lost some weight only to gain it back again, or maybe even a little bit more than what you had before? If so, you are not alone. You're not alone. It's happened to many people that I know, whether family, friends, clients, other trainers, myself. So I hope that brings you hope. It's not just you. It's happened to many people. And the problem is not that you're failing. I believe is that sometimes we start chasing quick fixes that don't lead to lasting habits that are going to give you lasting success. And so today I just want to give you my top 4 or 5 myths or things that I've seen over the years, because I know that people have tried like different diets, right? So I remember working with a performance coach. Actually, he was a nutritional coach, and it was in a season of my life. I was about 28, 29, and I was deciding to, I'm going to do this physique show. I was working as a physical therapist. I had been, in the past, been teaching people with Pilates, spin, weight training, performance coaching. But I really wanted to just challenge myself and change my own body and just take it to the next level. It was a personal goal, and I was doing my workouts, making some gains, and just listening to other people who really did have good intentions of the diets or ways they were eating that didn't necessarily fit my body and my goals. And I started to get really, really sick. And one of the things that this nutritional coach told me was, what's in the word diet? D-I-E. So instead of trying to follow a diet, figuring out what does my body need in this season to give me the energy, to give me the fuel and the nutrients for my particular, lifestyle or goal. So I've just over the years had a lot of people sharing with me different diets, different detoxes and cleanses. And I'm not saying a detox is bad or a cleanse is bad, but sometimes when you're just focusing on that one thing, as opposed to the picture as a whole. So one of the things I talk to a lot of clients, whether in my gyms or even now when I do one-on-one Zoom personal training or one-on-one in-person personal training, is getting that positive feedback loop going. So not just a detox, right? It's making sure that we're getting adequate rest, we're getting your water, We're making good changes to your diet. What do your vegetables look like? Are you getting enough protein? And your exercise routine, and keeping that wheel going where you're feeling good, you're making gains, it's becoming fun, you're feeling confident, and it's becoming a habit. Other things that I've heard people try, and not just one person, collectively, meal replacements. Again, it's not bad to have a smoothie or a real replacement bar, but when you're not taking that bar or shake anymore, you start to revert to old habits as opposed to building new habits that are going to be long lasting and sustainable and keep you on the right track, reaching your goals. And some other examples are people just taking total food groups out, right? And I think there are some outliers. I know people have food sensitivities and things like that. But again, you may take out, all of your carbs or whatever it is, but then when you bring it back in, you're gaining the weight back and or then some. So the goal is to if you found yourself doing one of these things, one, you're not alone. It's okay. Take the pressure off. Forgive yourself, move forward, do the best with what you know. But when you know more, let's do better together. You're not alone in this. It's good to have someone alongside of you or giving you reminders and accountability. Okay, with all that said, myth numero uno, that there is a magic diet. So I kind of alluded to this before. The problem is whatever the people that have tried to follow a DIE diet, it's not something that they can live on forever. And so they do it for a few weeks or a few months. They get success, they get some gains, they hit their weight goal. And then once they start going back to their old habits that didn't suit them well, they find themselves, where they were before or maybe even worse. And so looking at food and I wasn't raised this way. It's something I learned over time, but is this food item or meal gonna give me energy? Is it gonna make me feel good? Or is it gonna take energy away? Is it gonna fuel me? Like, when you get gas, do you put junk in your car? No, you put good fuel. Same thing with your body. Is this gonna fuel me up to do my workout, fuel me up to have the energy to do my work or my business or be with my family? Or is it gonna deplete me? So that mindset shift really helped me to see food differently. And the other thing I talk with people about when I meet with them is figuring out what season of life they're in. Some women are going through menopause. Some just have a baby and are postpartum. Some are working and in school and have limited time or have limited time to cook but don't want to eat out. So working within that season. So knowing the season you're in and figuring out what foods types are going to be most beneficial for me to reach my goal. Well, it's simple. I'm satiating my body and I'm enjoying the food and it's fueling me up, as opposed to taking something away and there being lack. And then when I hit my goals, I overdo it and overconsume, and then I'm right back where I started. Okay. Lie number two is that you have to starve yourself. And I kind of alluded to this when I was explaining when I was doing my physique show. I was getting some, advice, some feedback from a colleague actually who was also a natural bodybuilder, and she did phenomenal in her career. But I realized in this particular arena, many women that I was meeting was literally, I want to say, starving themselves or barely eating, and then they were having issues like mentally, emotionally, and it was actually starting to happen to me. And thank goodness my husband stepped in and was like, okay, we're going to hire a nutrition coach. And I'm so glad he did, because I remember thinking, okay, my body is really leaning out. My muscles, I'm really seeing, results, but I feel awful. And I was just a hot mess. My emotions were all over the place. I was raiding the cabinets at night. And I just remember thinking, this isn't healthy, right? Big picture, like, yeah, I want to get on stage, but I also want to be healthy. So maybe for you, yeah, I want to meet this goal, but I want it to sustain and I want to be healthy about it. And you don't have to starve yourself. It's just figuring out, what do I like? that's, going to give me nutrients, and it fits, or you can make the food in such a way and portion control to fit your needs. Okay, so line number 3, exercise is just about burning calories. So many people, just over the years, is, oh, I burned 350 calories during this, 30, 40-minute workout. Oh, I only burned 200 during this strength training. That's not enough. And they become so fixated on this number. And I want to remind you, and even if maybe you've never had anyone tell you this, please listen to this. If there's anything you get from this podcast, is that exercise helps with all the things you can't see. So yes, we talk about muscle building and fat loss and all that, but exercise is helping all the systems in your body that you can't see. So it's helping your lymphatic system, your endocrine system, your digestive system, your nervous system, your cardiac system, respiratory, on and on, musculoskeletal, of course. All the systems that are working, thank God, without you having to think about, exercise helps with that. And like in the other podcast, or podcast number 3, we're talking about getting in at least 15 minutes, right? Anywhere between 15 to 30 minutes. And I want to share with you a quick story that I'm just reminded of right now. I was working with one of my clients who is a young professional. She just finished pharmaceutical school, has her first real job, as she would like to say. And I've been working with her. And when she started her real job and got into her stride and the workload, she started to feel discouraged that she couldn't fit in her workouts. So I got on the phone, we had a nice chat, and I just reminded her, and I said, okay, take the pressure off of trying to get in an hour workout, and instead, let's see where we can fit in 15 minutes. And after talking, she said, you know what? I can do this on my lunch break. I can head to the gym in my apartment complex. And she did. And I remember her feedback. One of the things that she really emphasized was how much better she felt in 15 minutes. She felt she had more clarity, more energy, and more focus to do her work day. Boom! Isn't that amazing? So yes, it's going to help her build muscle, build her aerobic capacity, her core strength, her balance, but it also helps you to feel better in just a short amount of time. So don't get hung up on the how many calories did I burn, or if you got it in for an hour. Instead, remember that, you're getting a lot of gains. It's helping your whole entire body breathe better, feel better, go to the bathroom better, your heart. It's going to help your bones and your muscles, which leads me into my next myth, is that people fixate or feel like the scale is going to tell the whole story and the truth and nothing but the truth. No, I know that the scale is a metric that we can use, but with all of my clients, I always emphasize seeing the big picture. So when we have our consultation, or even when we do our reassessments every month or every other month, always looking at the big picture. So seeing what is the baseline, right? So can you do a push-up? Can you hold a plank? What does your mobility flexibility look like? Can you walk a mile? What does your time look like? Can you run a mile? What does your time look like? Along with looking at, if they want it, their measurements, right? Seeing where their measurements are. They can jump on the scale if they'd like. And then I also tell them, take photos, because you're going to be able to see how your muscles sometimes. And I'll give you another example. I have a client that I've been working with for a year. She's actually getting ready to get married. Beautiful soul. She's a teacher, works with young, I think, kindergarten students. And nevertheless, so within the year, okay, her weight hasn't changed, but I showed her a before and after, just her back alone, from when we started to now. And you can see the symmetry, the definition, the muscles. And within a year, the scale says she's only lost 5 pounds, but you can see the difference in her body, the leanness. And not only that, she feels better, has more confidence, and knows exactly what to do in the gym, so she's not wasting time. And also so she can feel great on her wedding day and her life, as a whole. So I say all that because don't just focus on the scale. The scale is a myth, is a lie. And the other myth that people get hung up on when it comes to losing weight in their health and fitness journey is that it has to be perfect. Perfection is overrated. Just like how I mentioned, motivation is overrated, so is perfection. I have a coach, and one of the things he says often or frequently is getting 1% better. And one of the things that I'm always telling people is progress over perfection. So, and it's actually good to make mistakes, right? Like making mistakes means that you're trying, you're attempting. Give yourself the grace to learn and to grow from that. Because if you're doing everything perfect, how can you help or inspire someone else coming up in the ranks, whether a friend, family member, student, whatever? There's grace in that, and give yourself, like I mentioned before, do the best with what you know. And when you learn more, you do better. And each workout or each meal, you'll get a little bit better each time. You know, people, I remember being in the gyms and just like, oh, I had pizza over the weekend, I ate too much, or I had a cookie for lunch. It's one of those like, bless me, trainer, for I have sinned. Here's my confession. It's okay, but let's keep going, right? Don't get hung up that, or even like, oh, I didn't have an hour today, I only got 40 minutes. That's amazing. It's great that you got your 40 minutes. The next time you come in, maybe you'll get a little bit more, but you're still carving out time for yourself. Remember, your body doesn't remember that you only did 40 versus an hour. It remembers the actual intentional work and time you're putting in, and you're going to yield results on that compound effect. So just keep going. It doesn't have to be perfect. We just want a little bit more progress and 1% better each time. So your workout's not going to be ruined if you don't get that full hour, or your goals aren't going to be ruined if maybe you overate or had a glass of wine with your boo over the weekend. It's all right. We just keep going, wash, rinse, repeat, let it go, and keep moving forward. And so I hope that encourages you if you found yourself maybe kind of wallowing or thinking one of those myths were reality, because it's not true. Consistency and habit training is much more important, right? Getting in 15 minutes, at least 15 minutes, 4 to 5 times a week versus, an hour once every couple weeks. And building in those habits of getting in that 15 minutes, or maybe for you, it's, I'm not even drinking, 2 glasses of water. So, maybe it's like, okay, if I'm only getting 16 ounces, my next goal is 32 ounces. So I encourage you to make 2 goals starting today, this week, that you can do, that you can implement. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. But maybe it's getting in more water. Maybe it's scheduling a 15-minute strength session. Maybe it's reaching out to me, where you can have, a nice consultation for only $1. The first assessment's only $1, where we can talk, chat. I can do an assessment and give you some feedback. And you can do so at 207-467-5509, or just reach out to vcfitness.live. And so I want to share one other story. I had a client. She was probably at this time, maybe her late 50s, early 60s, and she was diabetic. And at this time, when we first started working out, she had her diabetes medication, blood pressure medication, cholesterol medication. And over time, within a year, she was able to come off blood pressure, able to come off cholesterol, and one of her diabetes medication. And I think she was still on, I want to say metformin, but don't hold me to that. But my point is, within a year, she did lose some weight and definitely some inches. And her energy was through the roof, her endurance, her ability to lift. She could run circles and do more than some of the 20-year-olds coming into the gym at the time. She was enjoying life. Her mobility, getting up off the floor, her balance. She was doing HIIT, she was lifting. And so I would meet with her once a month to kind of reassess and see where we're at. And it was about that year marker where she was just feeling so discouraged because she didn't break 200 pounds yet and was just like besides herself. And I mentioned to her, because she would let me know what her doctor was saying, give me the reports of, lots of victories to get off blood pressure medication, especially when you've been on it for a long time, and cholesterol, and one of the diabetes medication. That's huge. All her levels, her A1C was doing great. She was sleeping better, all the things, right? but she was just really fixated on her weight, which is okay. Like we want to figure it out, but she was kind of on that brink of wanting to give up. And I remember like hearing her heart, letting her speak, because that's important, but just reminding her, if you give up and you stop, all of the gains of like your mobility, your strength, your energy, that's going to go away, right? If you don't continue to take care of yourself, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. Don't give up. Like we'll figure this out. Like between me, your support at home, your doctor, we'll figure this out. And so I mentioned some ideas to her because we had been tracking her food, her vegetables, her macros, other things. And we talked about intermittent fasting, and she talked to her doctor, and it was great to have that communication through her with her doctor to give her like the best support and care in the gym. And that was like the key we needed. And when she started intermittent fasting, her doctor gave her the A-OK. I mean, boom, that is exactly what we needed to lose weight. Now, I'm not saying, don't misunderstand, I'm not saying for you to start intermittent fasting. It does work long term for people, and it's a great habit. My point, the message here is that she was ready to give up, even though she had gains and victories in so many other areas. She was just like, oh, this weight, and I can totally understand. It can be super, super frustrating, but we kept on 1%, 1%, 1%, habit training, and boom, she is better than ever. The last time I saw her, she was around 170s, and just feeling great. And that's where she wanted to be. And so I hope that encourages you. I hope that motivates you to take the next step, to start building habits that will help you change your life. Because when you feel good, you do good, and it's good for everyone around you. So make sure you stay tuned for our next episode, where we're going to talk about pain versus discomfort, what you should and should not be feeling with exercise. God bless. Ciao for now. Thanks for tuning in. Mwah.